let's talk about energy vampires and how you could be one unknowingly. Because this is something that I see so many of us getting caught up in, including myself. All right. And that's one of the reasons why I can talk about this, is because it was brought to my attention many years ago when I was starting a deep dive into my healing journey. And once I realized it, was like, oh, shoot. And so I really want to talk about this because there are two specific ways that we unknowingly become energy vampires when we think we're coming from a really good place. So let's go into the first one. On the healing journey, especially if you're going really deep into something, or if you're really experiencing a deep dive into your own spiritual journey, you will often isolate yourself, right? And obviously, if you do that long enough, you start to lose your communication skills and how to actually listen to other people. And you might be like, Nicole, I listen to everyone. I'm actually the one who doesn't get to talk. And I hear you. Trust me, I hear you. But we live in a world right now where everyone doesn't feel seen or heard, okay? This is like one of the biggest trauma points that's coming up for most people. And rightfully so. I don't think anyone's invalidated in those feelings. But the problem is that if everyone's needing to be seen and heard, when does someone actually get to listen? And so the first way that we become an energy vampire to someone unknowingly is when the conversation is started by, say, someone else, and they're sharing something that's very important to them, whether it's an experience, whether it's a vulnerable moment, like whatever it might be, and it's your turn to talk, and you decide to be really empathetic and explain to them how you can relate. And then you go into all the reasons why you can relate, and unknowingly then make the conversation about you. Oh, I used to do this to one of my friends, and she had to point it out to me about 8 years ago. And at first I really was like, I'm just trying to show you that I can relate to you. But when I did a little deeper dive and I did some deeper self-reflection, I realized, wow, I'm really not even taking the opportunity that instead of me saying, oh, I can relate, like ask her a deeper question so that she can go into deeper understanding of whatever it is that she's talking about. So giving her the opportunity to share more or to expand upon it, right? And so this is something that we need to learn in our communication styles. Is that when someone is expressing to us, yeah, every now and then it's okay to relate, but if that's your common go-to and you're never actually taking the time to go deeper with the person and actually ask them questions that help them expand upon what they're saying, then what you don't realize you're doing, and this is where the energy vampire comes in, is that they have now taken the light and shone it on a part of themselves to share with you. And what you've done is you've taken that light and you've shone it back on yourself. You've stolen their light. And what happens is the person, if this happens enough, ends up feeling very emotionally drained and deflated because they never got the opportunity to feel connected through their own share. And so paying attention to your own communication styles with other people and checking in, I would love for some of you guys to really let me know, like over the next week or two, pay attention. How, like, do you constantly, like, if someone shares something, is your immediate answer to say how you've gone through a similar thing or how it relates to you? A lot of us do it unknowingly, and it's not good for the other person in the sense of we just don't let them connect to us because we've made it all about us. So the other way that we unknowingly become a little bit like energy vampires is, look, all of you guys who are on my channel, you're doing some sort of healing to some degree. When we're going through the thick of it, right? Sometimes we may trauma dump on people. Trauma dumping is very heavy energy. Now, there's a time and place for it. And of course, with your closest friends and all that, you're going to share things with them, and there are going to be moments in your life where this is absolutely necessary. It's time for you to get vulnerable. It's time for you to like get it off your chest and really share it. But some of us get so ingrained in our healing journey that all we do when we're talking about it is just trauma dump after trauma dump after trauma dump. And we think that that's us being vulnerable and that's okay, which to an extent it is, but we have to be responsible with our own energy and what we're asking other people to hold. Now, this is a topic I'm going to be discussing on Tuesday's podcast with David on what it actually means to hold space for other people. Because yes, there are some of my friends who I would constantly hold space for them and I would listen to their issues and what they were going through. But eventually it just became to a constant thing all the time. And I felt like, oh my God, here we go again. Oh my God, like, can you maybe like process this maybe with a therapist? You know, and this is the whole thing, is that we maybe expect everyone else around us to act like a therapist, and that's not fair. That's not fair. And we have to understand how heavy that is for other people to receive. So making sure that you understand how much you're divulging, when you're divulging it, and how consistently are you doing that? Are you really doing it in the moments that it's needed and it's appropriate? Or is this like your way of just sharing? Is it oversharing? Is it too much trauma dumping? Because you can't expect people to go on your journey the whole way with you. You've got to do part of this stuff on your own, and part of this stuff has to be done with a therapist or a coach or a healer of some sort. Okay, and so you can't expect your friends or your community to be your constant therapist as well. This is really important because you start pulling energy from people and you're using it to fuel your own healing journey. And although that may not be your intention, it usually is not your intention. That is ultimately what you're doing. So we have to be really responsible with our own energy. All right, so this is kind of a video that kind of takes the attention off other people and really puts it back on self, where we have to have deeper self-awareness of how we're communicating with others. Now listen, one of the ways that we build bonds with people, that we connect through relationship, is through communication. It's one of the biggest ways we build bonds. Learn to really listen to someone. And when you're listening, make sure that they feel seen and heard. Maybe repeat things back to them on what you heard and then ask a question, or, like really help them feel seen and heard so that when it's your time, they can show up for you in the same capacity. Okay? So don't miss my podcast on Tuesday night with David Ellis. It's super fun. It's super colorful. And we go into all the different pockets of the dark side of enlightenment. All right. And literally at the end, I share with you how I literally had to be a bitch to, or at least let my bitch out in a very healing way. And why it's appropriate for some of us to allow that, and the spiritual integration that is required to do that. I'm also, I want to say, I'm going to be putting out an all signs this week. I'm just not sure if I'm going to do it live or if it's going to be recorded. And the Forbidden Journey Retreat is coming up. I hope to see some of you there. It's going to be wildly transformative. And of course, if you're looking to come, some of the rooms are already sold out. I'd love to see you there. Link is in the description below to book your ticket. Guys, I love you so much. Keep pushing yourself through this journey, okay? Or surrender. Just let go, fall into it. I love you guys. I'm here for you, and I'll see you really soon.